Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is March 2nd, 2024, and Brighton have put their foot down and said that they are not going to negotiate with any club for the signing of their coach Roberto De Zerbi. Also, internal sources at Barcelona are confirming that Hansi Flick is the #1 candidate to replace Xavi Hernandez. And finally, reports are stating that Barcelona have made the final decision on offloading both Raphinha and Kounde in the summer transfer market. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, just a quick reminder to make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kit bag, and if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you head to Bet Us. Both links for kit bag and Bet Us are down below in the description. Now we begin with the news that Barcelona are currently having an internal debate on what to do regards their Nike contract and whether to go with a different company. Now, as you already know by now, Barcelona are currently in negotiations with Nike to try to get Nike to offer more than what they're currently paying, because they are paying way below market value. Of course, Nike so far have told Barcelona that they're not willing to make a huge push to keep them, that they're only willing to increase by a little bit, and that if Barcelona want to break the contract, they can go ahead and do it. However, they will sue Barcelona in court for 350 million euros in damages. Now, on the other hand, we do have Puma, who have offered Barcelona double the money that Nike are currently paying them. However, those talks have cooled off because Puma feel like Barcelona could be using them in order to get more money out of the Nike deal. And finally, there's the third option where Barcelona are contemplating making their own kits, designing their own kits and manufacturing, which of course could be a double-edged sword, because on one hand, if that works out, Barcelona could make a lot of money, a lot more than what they would make with Nike or Puma, since they wouldn't have to share their profits with anyone. But on the other hand, it could also go very badly, and if it does, Barcelona could stand to lose a lot of money, because after all, Barcelona are a football club. They have no expertise or knowledge on how to design, manufacture, and distribute clothing. Now, it's reported that within the club are having a very serious debate on what to do, with some people in the club leaning towards renewing the contract with Nike, others leaning with towards breaking the contract and going with Puma, and with others leaning towards manufacturing their own kits, maybe doing it just for a year and then look for a new sponsor. So internal debate is still ongoing. Barcelona still don't know what to do. There is no final decision, but this is definitely going to be an incredibly critical decision, because just like picking the manager, picking the next supplier will be crucial given the club's finances, because this could either make or break the club, where if it goes well, Barcelona could accelerate its financial recovery, or if it goes really bad, then the financial recovery could be prolonged much longer. Now on to the news that Brighton have put their foot down and decided that they will not negotiate with anyone for the signing of Roberto De Zerbi. Now, as you already know by now, De Zerbi is on the list of many major clubs, including Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, Liverpool and Manchester United in the Premier League, and of course on the list of Barcelona, who were already considering him from the beginning, but where he gained some ground these past few days when Pep Guardiola himself recommended to Jan Laporta that if he had his pick, he would choose Roberto De Zerbi to replace Xavi Hernandez. Now, as a result of all these links between De Zerbi and all these big clubs, Brighton have reportedly put their foot down and said that they are not going to negotiate with any clubs, that if any clubs want to sign De Zerbi, they will have to pay his 50 million euro release clause. They will have to pay in full and upfront in cash. So this, of course, does make the operation much more difficult for Barcelona, because it means there's absolutely no room for Barcelona to try to negotiate down the release clause or try to negotiate a payment plan. Brighton have said you either pay the 50 million euros in cash upfront, or I'm sorry, but you don't get to take our coach. And speaking of coaches, internal sources at Barcelona are confirming that Hansi Flick is currently sitting in #1 or pole position to replace Xavi Hernandez during the next season. Now, as I've talked about in many of my previous videos, Joan Laporta has always been a fan of Hansi Flick. You know, Joan Laporta wants a coach from the German school of thought, and Hansi Flick is one of the many names that Joan Laporta likes. In fact, he considered hiring him when he was a candidate for the Barcelona presidency. We also know from my previous video that Hansi Flick is very much in favor of coming to Barcelona. We first found out that Hansi Flick had started taking Spanish classes because he really wants to come to Barcelona. Then we found out that he started already looking for people that can join his staff. And finally, in that conversation between Flick's agent, Pini Xavi, and Joan Laporta, who watched the match together of Barcelona versus Getafe, Pini Xavi communicated to Joan Laporta that not only is Flick excited about the possibility of becoming a Barcelona coach, but that he in fact had already started watching Barcelona tapes, watching Barcelona matches in order to analyze the team and figure out what needs to be done. So we already know that Joan Laporta is a fan of Hansi Flick, and Hansi Flick is very much in favor of Barcelona. But once you add the following factors to it, it makes it very clear that he definitely is in pole position. Now, what factors I'm talking about? Well, for starters, it's reported that Hansi Flick is the most amenable coach to the Barcelona situation, because even though Deco has said that Barcelona have not reached out to anyone, several sources at the club confirmed that that's not true, that Barcelona have reached out to the entourages of many coaches, one of them being Hansi Flick, where they informed them that Barcelona are interested in him and are considering him as a candidate. But during this conversation, Hansi Flick was the coach, or during these conversations, Hansi Flick was the coach who was the most amenable to the club's situation. For example, the club made it very clear that they don't have the money to be making big signings, and Hansi Flick was totally okay with that. And the club also made the point that whatever coach comes has to focus on the young talent and on La Masia. Hansi Flick also said he has no problem with that. And not only is Flick amenable to the financial situation of the club as far as the team, he's also amenable to the situation as far as his own contract, where Hansi Flick understands he's not going to be coming to Barcelona to make millions and millions of euros, because he understands that Barcelona are currently strapped on cash. Now, there's also the factor of how easy it would be to try to sign Hansi Flick, because of course Hansi Flick is a free agent, so you don't have to worry about any release clause. And also his agent is Pini Xavi, who's a really close friend of Joan Laporta, so dealing with his agent will not be a problem, because Pini Xavi and Laporta, again, they're close friends. They've had business dealings in the past. Pini Xavi was a key player in bringing Lewandowski to Barcelona. He's also helped Barcelona with other operations. So when you add all these factors together, the fact that Joan Laporta likes Hansi, that Hansi wants to come to Barcelona, that it would be very easy to sign him because he's a free agent and his agent is Pini Xavi, and the fact that Hansi Flick is the most amenable to the conditions of the club, sources in Barcelona are assuring that as of today, Hansi Flick is the #1 candidate to replace Xavi Hernandez. So it's starting to look more and more likely that Flick will become Barcelona's next coach. If I had to put money on it, as of today, March 2nd, 2024, I would say that Hansi Flick will be Barcelona's next manager. Of course, things could change. Some crazy scenario could happen. Maybe Pep Guardiola says, I'm quitting Manchester City. I'm coming to train Barcelona for free. And while I'm at it, I'm bringing with me De Bruyne, Silva, Foden, Haaland, Julian Alvarez. They're all coming for free. We're all going to do it pro bono. Maybe some crazy scenario thing happens. But, you know, besides any big surprise or any big change for now, it is looking more and more likely that Hansi Flick will be Barcelona's next coach. And speaking of signing players, we will end today's video discussing the reports that surfaced today in the media stating that Barcelona have made a final decision to offload Jules Kounde and Raphinha in the summer transfer market. Now, we all know that Barcelona will have to offload players in the summer transfer market in order to be able to sign new ones and in order to reduce their wage bill, since the salary limit of Barcelona has been reduced even further. And these reports claim that since Raphinha and Jules Kounde have not impressed at Barcelona throughout the season, that Barcelona have made a final decision to offload both players in the summer. Now, it is true that Barcelona need to offload players in the summer, and they will offload players in the summer. However, with all due respect to other people's information, my information is that internal sources at Barcelona are assuring that no final decision has been made, and Barcelona have not made any final decision about who they're going to offload in the summer. All they know that they will need to offload players, and that decision is going to be taken towards the end of the season as they continue to watch how players perform throughout this season. Now, the reason Barcelona have not made any final decision, because when it comes to the club, they would actually prefer not to offload anyone. They consider that offloading players now would be weakening the squad, so they would rather only reinforce the squad. But of course, the club do understand that they will have to offload players given the financial fair play. So even though they prefer not to, they understand that they have to, and as such, they do have a preference list where they prefer to offload some players over others. For example, Barcelona would prefer to offload Jules Kounde over offloading Ronald Araujo. They would prefer to offload Raphinha over Lamine Yamal or Pedri or Gabi. But as far as making final decisions, the club have not taken any, and there's still no final decision about what players Barcelona will offload in the summer transfer market. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.